It's a wrap. 3, 2, 1. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to episode 337 of the Shower Podcast, the podcast where I'm in my shower and you do you. I'm your host, Chip, and this is a bit of a special episode, fully improvised and probably shorter than usual, but there is something important I want to share. If you've seen the title or the thumbnail, you already know, but if you're just listening, and this is very important today, please just keep listening. Before we start, as usual, if you end up liking this episode, remember the liking and subscribing really mean a lot for me. They're just one click, but they really make the difference. Thank you very much for considering it. So, what do I want to share today? As you might have seen, if you're listening to this, but as you might know, when the end of the year approaches, all of the services that are out there, the main one being Spotify, releases their wrap. It's mostly a summary of what you listened to, what you watched, and overall what you liked over the year. And of course, this podcast, besides living on YouTube, has also lived on Spotify. And I had a chance to peek and have a look at, let's say, the creator side of this rap. And, well, what can I say? Just, first of all, thank you. It's quite interesting and also revelational, I would say, when you get to see the ensemble of things. Because you really don't realize, especially for this kind of project, the full scope of what you're doing. Given that the show runs daily and my preoccupation is mainly from one day to the other to release the episode, it gets a bit difficult to be able to see the whole picture. And given that my first goal, and not even second or third, but numbers were not something important for me within this context. Not to say that in general they are not, or that they are not appreciated, because I will speak about them at the end of the day in this episode. But just to say that it's not something that I checked until now. And I got the chance to see, let's say, everything that happened this year. Still, there are still episodes to go. We haven't finished the project because December is not over. And I have not still pronounced episode number 365. But the whole scope was mind-blowing to me. Almost 2,000 different individual people have listened to this show. This show has been played back in 66 countries. It's insane. And also, something that, of course, as I said, this is mind-blowing, and again, I cannot thank you enough. But besides this, what I would like to put in scope and actually make you learn something, because at the end of the day, you're listening to the Shower Podcast, and I always try to give you something back. It's the fact that if you have in mind a certain threshold, and if you, let's say, look only at the successful results and are very conditioned by the survivor bias. If you're interested in the survivor bias, maybe we'll do an episode about that. It's a topic that I really like, especially lately. But overall, you think that, given the numbers of the show, there are plenty out there that do better. And even though this might be true, in percentage, this show went amazing. Like, most of the stats that we got were above 90% of what's out there. And this, indeed, to me, without making incredible research, proves two things. Is that indeed, there's lots of people that start, but never go forward enough to see the results of what they're doing. And even in this case, 1 year, it's not enough. But it has been a special year, let's say, because the amount of content I pushed in 1 year, it's usually way above what, let's say, very important shows might see in their whole lifetime. And the other thing is that in a lot of places, and specifically the social media world, streaming platforms, and in general, the whole concept of fame is heavily influenced by the power law. If you want to know what I'm talking about the Pareto principle, and there is actually an episode about that in the last mini-series that we produced, and I heavily recommend you to listen to that. And if you like even more that example, there is an insanely well done and interesting video of Veritasium, another channel that I mentioned here and there during this whole year, that did a deep dive and explanation with, let's say, a lot more detail than I could do in 6 minutes, even less. The Pareto Principle episode was just presenting you with the idea, but it's besides the point. You will understand what I mean. And to, let's say, summarize it for you, it's this concept that a very small amount of people, objects, shows, results that are out there influence all the rest that are part of that category. A single small event driven by that entity will have an immense, let's say, consequence for all the others. And this is both good and bad at the same time, because of course you just play in different leagues and you cannot really relate to that, but in the mind of a lot of people, and myself included, because, you always have that thought, what if this thing explodes? What if this thing grows out of proportion? You still compare yourself to these kind of results, to these kind of numbers, and you really have to be sure of what you're doing if you want to continue, because it's very easy to get discouraged. But I have to say that I'm very happy to see the results that I've seen, and I have to say that it brings me joy, and it makes me, enjoy a bit more these last episodes that we will have for this year. Nothing promised for next year, but for this year, it will be just a bit more pleasant knowing what are the results and let's say how many people actually listen to this. Having said that, that was all for today. Thank you very much for listening. Maybe you didn't care, but again, if you made it so far and you are an active listener, I imagine you do. So what else? Thank you again. If you made it so far, feel free to interact with this content in any way, shape, or form you like, by liking, commenting, sharing, rating this podcast, whatever you want to do. I'm always happy and enthusiastic about your support. And until the next one, as usual, stay consistent, stay resilient. This was the Shower Podcast, and I'll see you tomorrow.